everybody, Ryan Medora here, and today we're talking a little bit about slides on the bass and going with octaves and having a good time playing some rock and roll. I love playing slides and kind of taking advantage of the full register of the instrument and the whole neck. It's just great. It's a lot of fun and it's cool to rock out that way. So if you want to get tab or notation, anything to accompany this lesson, please head over to my Patreon page. You can support there. You can like what I do, get all the fun goodies to go along with these videos that are on my channel, and you can also head over to ryanmedora.com for other fun things. But for now, let's talk a little bit about slides and octave movement on the bass. So in this lesson, I'm kind of giving myself this groove prompt. It's like rock and roll, kind of just moving between a G chord and a D chord. So I'm thinking about being in the key of G, and I'm kind of settling here on my first, the tonic of the G on the 3rd fret of our E string, and I am going between this G chord and a D chord, which is like the 5th. So we're really going 1 to 5 as our chord progression, or G to D. Now to do this, what I'm choosing to do for my groove is really movement of an octave with a slide. So I'm finding my G here on the 3rd fret of the E string, and then I'm targeting a G an octave higher, but instead of going for like that G that's in the same position, I'm going to go for my G here on the 10th fret. So I'm going from the 3rd fret on the E string to the 10th fret of the A string. And so I'm really mentally targeting where that is. This is a really cool thing, especially in a lot of rock and roll, where you're going to kind of go and slide up the octave and get that really cool attack by sliding into that note. It just sounds awesome. So I'm kind of starting off just playing like 3 notes on the G and then sliding into this high G up here. So and it's going to be a little bit noisy, but that's okay, because again, this is rock and roll. If you have an overdrive pedal, you can throw that on and have a good old time with it. But the point here really is to get comfortable making that kind of like single string octave jump, where you're going from this to 1 string over, octave higher, up here. So I'm really targeting and watching the fretboard to find out where that location is, sliding up to it and hitting that octave there. Now, as I do this, I'm going to bring that same technique to the next chord, to the D chord. So I'm going to find my D here on the 5th fret of the A string, and I'm going to go up the octave to this D here on the 12th fret of the D string. So this one might even be a little bit easier to find, because the 12th fret is the octave of our open string. So if you think about playing your open D string, the 12th fret, the double dots on your bass, that's where we're going to be landing when we play this D with the 5th fret, landing here D on the 12th fret. So again, it's that same single string octave higher kind of move that really allows for the slide to happen. So it's pretty cool to practice going between those, going nice and slow. Now when I'm sliding, I like to kind of use my ring finger. So I might start with my index or my middle for the root note, and then use my ring finger for the slide, because it's a little bit more a stronger sliding finger, I like to think. So I'm playing usually with my index finger on the root note, and then I might start on maybe around the 5th to get that slide up there. You're not going to start on the same note and slide that note. You're going to start and play that note, and then switch fingers to play the slide on the next string. So you can see that I'm kind of shifting from my index or my middle finger to then my ring finger for that slide. And I'm going to do that same thing on the, as I go for the D. So what I really recommend, again, is practicing this kind of slow, but not too slow. If you go too slow, you know, it's just awkward. You're going to get like caught up. You need to have a little bit of energy to make that slide happen well. And once you get really comfortable with targeting those notes and landing those slides, you can start to embellish a little bit. You know, sometimes I like to, you know, forcefully dig in a little bit and play the octave with a little more like gusto. Sometimes I like to include a slide down. So if I'm going, you can kind of hear that I'm sliding up and then sliding down to take myself back down to this lower register. So there really is a whole lot that you can do with slides, but this is a great way to get started, just thinking about what I call that single octave, single string slide, picking a simple chord progression, maybe just 1 to 5, and finding that move across the instrument. So this is a great way, again, to get started if you're playing rock and roll and stuff like that, if you're new to slides, and there's a lot of fun embellishment that you can do as well once you get comfortable with it. So if you dug this lesson, you want to get tab or notation, please head over to my Patreon page and check out ryanmedura.com for all these other fun goodies. And I hope you dug this. Happy practicing, everybody, and keep it groovy.